a landlocked country of towering mountains, deep alpine lakes, grassy valleys dotted with neat farms and small villages, and thriving cities that blend the old and the new. Switzerland is the nexus of the diverse physical and cultural geography of Western Europe, renowned for both its natural beauty and its way of life. Aspects of both have become bywords for the country, whose very name conjures images of the glacier-carved Alps beloved by writers, artists, photographers, and outdoor sports enthusiasts from around the world. Switzerland remains wealthy and orderly, but its mountain-walled valleys are far more likely to echo the music of a local rock band than a yodel or an alphorn. Most Swiss live in towns and cities, not in the idyllic rural landscapes that captivated the world through Johanna Spyri's Heidi, the country's best-known literary work. Switzerland's cities have emerged as international centers of industry and commerce, connected to the larger world. As a consequence of its remarkably long-lived stability and carefully guarded neutrality, Switzerland, Geneva, in particular, has been selected as headquarters for a wide array of governmental and non-governmental organizations, including many associated with the United Nations, an organization the Swiss resisted joining until the early 21st century. Switzerland's rugged topography and multicultural milieu have tended to emphasize differences. People living in close proximity may speak markedly distinct, sometimes nearly mutually unintelligible dialects of their first language, if not a different language altogether. German, French, Italian, and Romansh all enjoy the national status, and English is spoken widely. Switzerland is bordered to the west by France, to the north by Germany, to the east by Austria and Liechtenstein, and to the south by Italy. It extends about 135 miles from north to south, and 220 miles at its widest extent from west to east. Switzerland's landscape is among the world's most unusual, and it has long had to contend with a variety of environmental problems that threaten its integrity. Economic development and high population density have caused severe environmental stress, resulting in pollution and debates over the use of natural resources. During the 1970s and 80s, ambitious environmental policies were implemented by the cantons and municipalities, and this led to impressive progress on pollution abatement. For example, air pollution emissions in Switzerland are among the lowest in industrialized countries. Situated at the hydrographic center of Europe, Switzerland is the source of many major rivers. The two most important are the Rhone, which flows into the Mediterranean Sea, and the Rhine, which empties into the North Sea. Switzerland's small area contains an unusual diversity of topographic elements, which are divisible into three distinct regions: the Jura Mountains in the northwest, the Alps to the south and east, and the Middle Land, or Central Plateau, between the two mountain ranges. The Jura, a rolling mountain range in the northwest, occupies about 1/8 of the country. The region was formed under the extended impact of the general alpine folding, which created the folded Jura that abuts the Middle Land and the tabular Plateau Jura, which forms the northern edge of the range. The highest point in the Jura, Monte Tondra, at about 5,500 feet, is well below the Alps. Indeed, the Jura was not a significant barrier to surface movement, even before modern railroads and highways were constructed. The climate of the Jura, which has abundant precipitation, is the most continental of Switzerland. Cross-country skiing is popular during the long winters. The Alps were built of large complexes of massed overthrusts of extremely varied sedimentary, metamorphic, and igneous rocks that were shaped by glaciation. The canton of Valais contains many striking alpine peaks, including the Dufour-Spitze on the Monte Rosa Massif, at 15,203 feet, the highest point in Switzerland, the Weisshorn 14,780 feet, overlooking the valley called the Matterhorn, the Dom 14,912 feet, above the village of Saas-Fee, and the ice-sculpted Matterhorn 14,691 feet, long, a symbol of Switzerland. The Alps' role as the European watershed is most apparent in the central alpine region of Switzerland, where the different chains meet. From there the Rhone River flows west, the Rhine River east, the Ticino River south to the Po River, and the Reuss River north to the Aare. The country's geographically destined role as guardian of Europe's natural transalpine routes has been both a reason for, and a basic tenet of its existence, a role expressed in its traditional neutrality in times of war. In the central alpine region lies the Streek-Gotthard route, the first and shortest north-south passage through the mountains and an important European linkage. It was opened in the early 13th century with the construction of a bridge in the Schlenen Gorge, which traverses the northern chain, while the southern range is crossed by the Streek-Gotthard Pass at an elevation of 6,916 feet. Despite the tunnels, increasing rail and highway traffic often resulted in long delays through the mountains. For example, on weekends during the peak summer tourist season, cars and trucks were often backed up some 10 to 15 miles. To address this congestion, in 1992 Swiss voters approved the construction of a massive 35-mile rail tunnel well beneath the existing Streek-Gotthard tunnels. The primary excavation was completed in 2010, and upon its official opening in June 2016, the Gotthard Base Tunnel was the longest and most deeply set rail tunnel in the world. Because the tunnel was excavated at virtual zero grade, it could accommodate high-speed trains that would slash travel times between northern and southern Europe, and reduce traffic choked up alpine roads. Soil conditions and agriculture reflect the diversity of Switzerland's climate and geologic structure. The major soil groups consist of gray-brown podzolic soils and brown forest soils, loess, glacial drift, and alluvium in the middle land. brown forest soils, rendzinas, and the heavier glacial clays in the Jura valleys, and the lithosol and podzolized soils of the high Alps. Four major European climates affect Switzerland. From the west, influenced by the North Atlantic drift, come mild and moist air masses. Dry and cold air arrives from the North Arctic areas. Continental air from the east brings dry, colder air in winter and warmer air in summer. And relatively moist and warm air flows northward from the Mediterranean. The mixing of these air masses over Switzerland produces weather patterns that not only change according to which air masses are involved, but also are characterized by great variation in temperature and precipitation because of local relief. Since rainfall tends to increase in direct proportion to altitude, precipitation varies according to relief. Because of the marked variation in relief that characterizes Switzerland, differences in precipitation within short linear distances are often very great. For example, St. Gallen, at 2,556 feet, has an average annual precipitation of about 50 inches, while precipitation at Santis, at an elevation of 8,202 feet, but only some 12 miles away, is more than 110 inches. The average annual precipitation of 3/4 of the country exceeds 40 inches, varying amounts of which fall as snow. In Lugano at 896 feet, which is located in the canton of Ticino in the southeast and has a modified Mediterranean climate, little precipitation is in the form of snow. In Zurich at 1,824 feet, about 1/10 is snow, and on the Santis, nearly 3/4 is snow. The stable high-pressure weather conditions prevailing over Central Europe and the Alps during autumn and winter create cold air masses that result in lowland fog, a climatic phenomenon with widely varying consequences. The mouths of the northern Alpine valleys, the basins of the Jura Mountains, and the villages and cities of the low areas of the Mittelland, are blanketed for days and often for weeks on end, while towns located at higher altitudes enjoy warm, brilliant, high-pressure conditions, and the view of the glistening sea of fog below them. With the increase in winter tourism, the study of avalanches has developed as a branch of alpine climatology, and in wintertime, the research station near Davos releases daily avalanche bulletins as a warning for villagers and tourists. The Alpine cantons have about 10,000 avalanches annually, with about 4/5 of them occurring in February, March, and April. Villages, highways, and alpine paths are also protected by costly artificial structures such as metal barriers, earthen walls, and concrete wedges and enclosures. However, in the late 20th century, acid rain caused the illness and death of many trees in the mountain areas of Switzerland, and posed a serious threat to their ability to act as barriers to avalanches. In the mountain forests, some 2/5 of the trees were classified as damaged, sick, or dying. But by the early 21st century, avalanche control forests had become healthier and denser, especially at higher elevations and in steeper terrain. Vegetation in Switzerland is derived from that of the 4 European climatic regions that converge in the country, and has been influenced by the varied relief. It includes the beeches and oaks of the maritime west, hornbeam and larch trees in the more continental east, predominantly in the Engadine and the Dry Valais, extensive spruce forests in the northern subalpine region, and chestnut groves in the south. Switzerland's animal life is primarily alpine, but a mixture of species familiar to southern and north-central Europe is also found. In the forests, there are deer, rabbits, foxes, badgers, squirrels, and many varieties of birds, including eagles. Snakes and lizards are concentrated in the south, but insects, in great variety, are diffused throughout the country. To survive as a cohesive unit, and to protect the neutrality that has been their safeguard, the disparate elements of the Swiss people have had to learn mutual cooperation. Their outlook has been shaped largely by economic and political necessity, which has made the Swiss public realistic, cautious, and prudent in accepting innovation and creativity in the use of their resources. Switzerland's human resource has been effectively educated and efficiently utilized to transform what was a predominantly mountainous, rural, and landlocked country with limited natural resources into one of the most diversified and important industrial and commercial countries in the world. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to give a like, share, and subscribe.